What's up, everyone? So, I'm gonna start this video by giving y'all some context. Hopefully, this video won't be too long, but I actually shot this video before and then I deleted it. Um, but I decided to reshoot it again. So, yesterday on the 27th, I'm filming this on the 28th. I think it's 28th. Um, Yesterday they had the national Battle of the Bands in Houston, and for those of you that don't know, that's where I think they had 8. I ain't gonna count. Let me see. Kentucky State, Grambling, Southern, Bethune, North Carolina A&T, um, Texas Southern. I think Texas Southern was there. They should have been there. They from Houston. If I'm not mistaken, Prairie View was there. But yeah, I think it was 8 bands. It's one more that I'm completely forgetting. It wasn't Alabama State because Alabama State was playing Howard, and FAMU was playing the Tar Heels. So those two didn't come. There's somebody else that I'm forgetting. But yeah, I think it was 8 schools there. But anyway, and it's pretty much a showcase. That Pepsi sponsored it. And I'm gonna throw this out here, see if it's anybody, any big wigs, anything. See this? Y'all go back to doing judged Battle of the Bands. I know y'all haven't done those in decades, but please judge them. I think that would bring some legitimacy to them if they're actually judged. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But it just put it on my mind. And school is starting, and it's gonna be our Founders Day. Our Founders Day is gonna be in September. So I put it on my mind to throw this PSA out here to all the people who have children. Doesn't really matter what age they are. Because a lot of people don't just come on out and say this. So what this video is going to be about is why, if your child is black, melanated, whatever you want to call them, because some of y'all act like y'all scared to say you're black. I don't know where that comes from. Anyway, why you should definitely entertain an HBCU, or your child should entertain an HBCU. So oftentimes I find that a lot of people, there's even a lot of grown black people that don't even know HBCUs exist. Or they find out a lot later on in life. Oh, Kentucky State University. I don't know if I said, yeah, they were there. Anyway, but yeah, a lot of people, they just either send their kids to the closest school to them, or I don't know what it is. But let me say this: if your child is thinking about majoring in anything that is remotely just generic, for instance, I have a biology degree. So if your child is thinking about majoring in anything biology, math, history, just really basic degrees, English, stuff like that, in my opinion, there is no excuse why you shouldn't entertain an HBCU. I'm going to tell you why. So Grambling State and Louisiana Tech are right next to each other. They are 2 miles apart. I know people that go to Louisiana Tech to get an accounting degree, and Grambling offers an accounting degree. Now, let me say this. Both of them are state institutions. What does that mean? That means that they are governed by the state and their curriculum is controlled by the state. That means that they must offer the same courses for the same amount of course hours. That means your degree has to be the same. They are in the same state. See what I'm saying? It's just like Southern and LSU. They're right next to each other in Baton Rouge. Both of them have biology majors. Both of them have math majors. Both of them have, history majors. Those programs are identical. So you tell me why you would send your child to a school. Now, I don't know about LSU and Southern because I have not looked to see what they cost. Louisiana Tech costs about $40,000 more at the end of, by the time you get your degree, than it costs to go to Grambling to get the exact same degree, undergraduate degree. That's accredited by the same accrediting bodies. They're both accredited by SACS. So you tell me why you sent your child somewhere to pay more money to get the exact same degree, take the exact same courses. You see what I'm saying? Um, and in my opinion, the only way that you did that is either one or two things. You wanted your child to go to your alma mater because you have loyalty to that. Okay. I mean, I guess. Um, but at the end of the day, I think we also need to empower our children to start very early on thinking about their financial status. If you're not paying for their school wholesale out of pocket to where they're not going to have any loans or anything like that, or their school is not covered by all grants, why are you not training your children that, hey, this school costs $40,000 less? That's $40,000 more dollars that you don't have to pay back. You see what I'm saying? We have to start empowering our children to think like that. That's number one. Number two, as a HBCU grad, and I think more HBCU grads should do this and do their part, we really have to start putting our institutions out there and stop letting people think that our institutions are less than just because they're black. I have experienced both. I graduated from an HBCU, however, I took some classes at a PWI. I took classes at PWI more than once. When I was in high school, I was in dual enrollment. So I was taking college courses when I was in high school. And when I was in college, I took some college courses at Tech. I'm sorry. Let me give y'all just a touch of backstory. So the high school I went to, the administration was completely white. The student body was 75-80% black. The rest of the student body was white, Asian, Hispanic, all that stuff mixed in. But the school, for all intents and purposes, operated like a white school, like from high school down. I went to public schools. All through high school, like for instance, let's put it like this. All through high school, pretty much, you see this passive racism stuff all the time. What do I mean by that? White kid get caught with a gun in his car on campus. Nothing really happens. They suspended him for one day. A black girl got caught. Well, she was in her mother's car, actually, because her car wouldn't start that morning, so she drove her mother's car to school. There was an empty wine cooler bottle in her car. They expelled her from school for I forget how long, and they almost didn't let her graduate. Over an empty wine cooler bottle that her mother said that, yeah, she was in her car the night before drinking wine coolers and forgot the bottle was in her car. Her daughter's car wouldn't start that morning. She said, just take my car. And forgot the bottle was in there. You tell me what kind of damage she could have did with a wine cooler, and this white boy got a whole rifle in his truck, loaded, with more ammo in the trunk. He said something about he claimed that he was going hunting or something, but school campuses are no tolerance for all of that stuff. So yeah, that type thing. Or, white kid do something, black kid do something, the punishments are totally different. All this kind of stuff, we want to do things culturally that, hold on y'all, this bug, I'm finna whap, because every time I come out here, it's this particular bug that always do this, and I don't know what it is, and I don't know if it's sting or what, but I'm finna get them away from me though. I'm tired of them. It's like every time. But anyway, now back to what I was saying. All this stuff. So, for those of you who have your kids enrolled in public school, please do not think, because a lot of times kids are not going to really be able to internalize this, because it took for me to get older and realize what's going on. Kids are not really going to internalize this and really understand what's going on. Like, they understand on a certain level, but then when you get older, you're able to articulate it better, what's actually going on. And it wasn't until I got to a HBCU to where my culture is celebrated, my blackness is celebrated, my intelligence is celebrated, all that kind of stuff. You get tired of these side comments that where people insinuate because you're black you're not as smart as Becky. You feel me? You get sick of that. And these white educators are in these classrooms, and I could go real deep, but I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm not giving them a pass, but what I'm saying is when you're raised in a country to where it's normalized to say and hear these things, a lot of times these white people don't even realize that what they're saying is racist. Because to a lot of white people, being racist is only, oh, when you call somebody the N-word, then you're a racist. They don't understand that there are levels and layers to racism that's way past that. So that's why you have a lot of people that are so quick to say, no, I'm not racist, I'm not racist, I'm not racist, when over 80% of the white people in this nation are racist. They're just racist on a passive level, and they don't realize it because, like I said, so many things are normalized. You know, when they see stuff that's out of order, when you're silent, and that's complicity. When you feel a certain type of way when you see a white person being done a certain way, but then you see a black person being done that way and you don't feel the same. You know, all this different kind of stuff. There are nuances to racism. So a lot of that stuff I didn't realize until I got to a college campus, and all of a sudden, I'm going to tell you, as an 18-year-old, it was like, I'm going to kill you. You kept on until you was back over here and I done killed you. I didn't want to have to do that. It's done. Anyway, I'm telling y'all, this thing is huge. I don't know what it is. And I'm not finna sit up here and get stung. Homeboy fly around me every day. I ain't got time. And he's big too. But anyway, I cannot tell you the just relief I felt on a college campus, where it's like, when you get there, the majority of the staff is black. The majority of the faculty is black. The administration is black. Now, let me say this. I'm not stupid. I know that all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And I'm not going to lie to you. At the time when I was at Grambling State University, we had a lot of people in administration that, thank God, they're gone. That they wasn't. I think they were instrumental in attempting to try to close Grambling State University. However, that being said, back to what I was saying. If you have children, and your children have an idea of what they want to major in and what they want to do. Like, for instance, I know, I don't know if Bull's son, Dr. Ricky, is still talking about being a veterinarian, but I'm not saying, make Tuskegee top of your list, but make sure you go visit. Please go visit Tuskegee. Tuskegee is the only black school with a veterinary program. That's number one. Number two, I've been to Tuskegee's campus several times. And if you haven't been to Tuskegee's campus, even if you are not trying to go to an HBCU, please go to Tuskegee's campus. The whole campus is registered on the National Historical Sites. It's a historical site that, because the students built a lot of the buildings. That was one of the things that Booker T. Washington, if you don't know about Booker T. Washington, he taught black people about he wanted them to have skilled trades and things like that, because his whole thing was, is if you knew how to do something, then you'd always know how to make money. But not only that, he wanted to educate the farmers in rural Alabama. And so when you go there, you can see his home. Believe it or not, Booker T. Washington was one of the first people in Alabama to actually have running water. Now, hear me when I say this. Notice what I just said. He was one of the first people to have running water in Alabama. And if I'm not mistaken, one of the first people to have electricity in his home in Alabama. I want y'all to let that sink in. How long ago that was. And this black man sitting around with running water and lights in his house. You see what I'm saying? And his house, the oak, still stands there. It's a beautiful home. But the whole campus is beautiful. But like I said, if you're into science, George Washington Carver is buried on campus. So is Booker T. Washington. But it's one of those campuses where when you go there, you can feel the history and you can feel the ancestry and you can feel the ancestors there. You know what I'm saying? It's somewhere where HBCUs are a safe haven for black intellectuals, or those that strive to be a black intellectual. It doesn't matter what you're going to be an intellectual about. But it's one of those places that you just cannot, not only that Tuskegee graduates I forget what the stat is, but I know they graduate over 80% of the black veterinarians. There used to be a veterinarian show on Animal Planet. I can't remember the name of it, but their practice is in Houston. They still practice. I don't know if the show is still on TV because I don't watch a ton of TV. But all three of them graduated from Tuskegee. So these are not people that just graduate and go out here and work for other people. They open their own practices. You see what I'm saying? They're empowering black people to do what we have been doing. You know what I mean? So it's like, these are the things that you want to involve people in, involve your children in, or try to get your children into. Everything will not be perfect, but understand this, even when they go to a PWI, everything's not going to be perfect. And I'm going to beg black people to stop being harder on our institutions than we are on these white institutions. Because I've seen black people go on a white institution and see some of the same stuff. They overlook it at a white institution, but at a black institution, they find the needle in the haystack. You feel me? They pick and prod at every damn thing, instead of looking at the picture for what it is. HBCUs, even state institutions, get way less money than they're actually supposed to get. That's the reason why, long time ago when I was in school, Alabama State got all this money, because they sued the state. The state was underfunding them chronically for decades. The same thing just happened in Maryland, where every HBCU in Maryland, Bowie State and whatever else is in Maryland, it's several of them, it's 2, 3, 4 of them. They're all going to get all this money because Maryland chronically underfunded them for decades. See, a lot of people don't understand there's legislation that says how much money you're supposed to get. If you're a land grant, if there's legislation that tells you exactly how, but states get away with this stuff because it's like, oh, it's the black school, we won't worry about that. But we'll fully fund, for instance, these schools, and I'm going to ask black people to stop doing this. If you live in Georgia, stop wearing the Georgia Bulldogs. They stole that land from those black people. Those black people are fighting for reparations right now. If you have a shirt that's Georgia Bulldogs in Athens, throw it in the garbage. They stole that land. They took the land, devalued it, and did all of this stuff just so they could get those black people off of that land where that school sits now. They're not going to give their land back. You can cancel it. And that land is now worth today, I forget what the value is they did on that land, but it's worth millions now. And they stole that land and made those people get off that land. These are working black people. You see what I'm saying? So they're fighting for reparations for the value of the land that was stolen. They are owed millions. See, let me tell you something. A white institution that's serious about correcting their past, because I don't know of any PWI that actually has a good past when it comes to racial relations. If somebody would like to tell me one in the comments, let me know. But I believe it was Georgetown. Their students got together. Georgetown almost got closed years and years and years ago when slavery was still going on. Georgetown owned slaves. The school owned slaves. And when they were about to close, they needed money. And the fastest way they thought they could get money was to sell the slaves they owned. So Georgetown owes those slaves that they sold. They owe them because they're still open because they sold the slaves and they was able to get that money to stay open. Well, the students found out that history and agreed to pay the descendants of those slaves reparations. See, that's how you go back and make it right. Now, perhaps there are other white schools. I know it's another theology school. There's a theology school or something. I don't think they finished doing with it, but they said they're thinking about giving reparations for, I want to say they faculty had like slaves. These faculty members had people that was their assistants or whatever little word they tried to use, but they weren't getting paid. But these people were taking care of them, cooking for them, cleaning up after them, all this kind of stuff. And the theology school went on ahead and said that as a Christian school, that wasn't right. That according to the Bible, that wasn't right. So I think that they're going to give those descendants reparations as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think they approved it. I can't remember the name of the school because it's a small little theology school. I want to say it's in Virginia, North Carolina. It's somewhere over there. North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, somewhere. West Virginia, somewhere. Anyway, but like I said, until these PWIs do that, I'm not thinking about you. I mean, I got into some schools when I was 18 that, I just applied just to apply, just to see if I could get in. But it's amazing how when you apply, they want you to come there, but at the end of the day, they don't care anything about your culture. None of their activities is black oriented. They don't have they have these little clubs and look. What I'm saying is, you have to understand that if your child goes to HBCU and they are black, for a lot of them, it'll be the first time that they'll be able to openly accept that they're black. Because to be real, depending on where you are and where you go to school and all this kind of stuff, sometimes society, especially American society, will make you downplay that you are black. At HBCU, you can be as black as you want to be. Because I got news. All the concerts will be the hottest artists. all of the parties will play all the stuff you want to hear. All of the comedy shows will have whatever comics that's hot. Like when I was in school, yeah, we saw Ricky Smiley, Steve Harvey. We saw all them people. They was hot. You know what I'm saying? Bernie Mac never came to my school, but he went to some other schools, if I'm not mistaken. You know, and I'm talking about $2 concerts, $5 concerts. Where else you gonna see all this at? For them prices. At some schools, they homecoming. As a matter of fact, I think my school's homecoming now. I think for students, everything is free. For the students now, we at least had to pay $2, $5. Um, but like I said, you won't get the culture. You won't get any of that anywhere else. Now, I know what a lot of y'all gonna say with culture. That's not what your degree. You're right. So let's touch on academics. I want you to tell me where you can go. And over 90% of the faculty, usually, there are some HBCUs where they do have a lot of white faculty. But where you're going to see the sheer volume and number of PhDs that are black. That was absolutely astonishing and eye-opening to me. Like, I knew there were black PhDs, but when you see it up close, and these are not just regular PhDs, they're accomplished PhDs. Very intelligent PhDs. People who have studied other places, been places. These ain't people that just, only been in one state their whole life and all this kind of stuff. Because you look at them and you say, well, if they can get a PhD, if they can aspire to this, then so can I. Especially if they're doing what you're trying to do. PhDs that will go out of their way to make sure that you are exposed to different things. You know what I'm saying? Just like when I was at Grambling, people always was like, oh, you never see any black people researching. I don't know what they're talking about. I did research in my undergrad. And it wasn't until I talked to some white kids elsewhere, they was like, you doing research in your undergrad? I was like, you not? Like, I thought that was normal. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's nothing to see kids in the lab researching. And I'm not talking about doing little pitty-patty research. Back then, there were certain students that were doing cancer research. I was doing toxicology research because, in case y'all didn't know, I got a biology degree, but it's a wildlife biology degree. Wildlife biology is the old name for what is now known as environmental biology, basically, kind of. It's pretty much the same. 90% of it is the same. So in wildlife biology, they changed the name because it makes people think all you study is animals, and it's not. You study animals, ecological systems, waterways, pretty much everything, nature and environment. That's what you study. You study how animal populations impact the environment. You study how waterways, water toxicology, different things like that, how all of that affects the ecology. You study all that stuff. So, and like I said, the reason why I did that one is because that was the degree program that was going to lead me. I was going to become a veterinarian because I was going to leave Grambling and go to Tuskegee and become a veterinarian, and that was the course. That was the degree program that basically when I left, I would have all the prerequisites to basically apply to vet school, hopefully get accepted, and go on by my business. But life took me in a different direction, but that is what that is. But yeah, so if you think you're not going to get the opportunities to do certain things, just like at Howard, their Africana Studies program. They actually take them kids to Egypt every year. Every year they take them kids to Egypt. When I was in Ground, when I was at the band, in the band, you have no idea how many people was in that band had never left the city they was from. But as soon as we get there, we going to San Jose, California. The next week we going to, wherever we going. Every week we was gone. Over the course of me being in school, I probably, let me see, California, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, not Pennsylvania, California, Pennsylvania, Washington State, Indiana, and of course all the southern states: Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida. Where did we play Hampton? I think we played them in Atlanta. So Georgia. But this just all these states we going to. All these different states we going to. Think about that if you got the kid that hasn't had the opportunity to really travel. I was in a CMAS program, which is a program that gears you towards going to graduate school. In that program, we went to Arizona once. We went to Tennessee one time. We went several places. Every year CMAS went somewhere because we always went and visited a school that was interested in getting us to come to their grad school. So we would go to the school, and the school would basically try to recruit us to come there. And we would present research and do all that kind of stuff. So what I'm saying is don't think that HBCUs can't offer, or all that HBCUs can offer you with sports. Because I know right now that's what a lot of this stuff, people talking about Dion and all this, which I love what he's doing, and I love how he putting HBCUs out there. And yes, we do play, like, okay, yeah, these bigger schools, their facilities better, but please don't think they're not playing at ball. Because I'm here to tell you, I be at the football games. You know what I'm saying? I'm from Texas. We don't play by no football now. From high school on up. You know what I'm saying? Friday night, Saturday night, you tied up. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Texas, you tied up with football. So please don't think that all we can offer is sports, or that we don't offer sports on the same competitive level. Like I said, are the facilities going to be the same? No. But you can't ask the facilities to be the same when they're fully and overly funding a white school and underfunding the black school. You see what I'm saying? You can't ask that to be that. And I know what you're going to say, alumni should give. Yeah, alumni give, but guess what? A lot of y'all don't understand what it costs to run a program. The light bill at some of these HBCUs is $30,000 a month. Or more. It's $30,000 at the smaller school. The light bill every month. You see what I'm saying? So, some people pop off at the mouth and think they know what they're talking about, but HBCU's been creating people who are great at what they do for a long time. And to be honest, I think we started chasing the pretty shiny stuff. But if some of these people who leave PWIs and come to HBCUs, because you're starting to see that a whole lot more, if they be honest and tell you they're going through the same stress and stuff that I went through in high school, but it's at the college level. Because I'm not stupid. These same educators at the college level, they have the same mentality of those at the lower levels. If your kids are homeschooled, I'm going to be honest and tell you, if they want to go to college, even more reason why you might want to send them to HBCU, because depending on the type of parent you are, if you've been at home teaching them about their culture and about this, that, and the fifth, when they get thrown into these cultures where, I'm putting it to you like this. My friend went to the University of North Texas. Every day she was calling me. These teachers this, these teachers. You're not going through that? Nah, girl. I don't have that problem. My professor black. They're not going to sit up here and insinuate no stupid stuff because they black. So the minute they insinuate something about me is the minute they insinuate something about themselves. Uh-oh. Fumble. But yeah, just all this different little stuff, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, no. So Please entertain HBCUs for your children. Look up the degree programs. Look and see who has what. Um, if by chance, because like I said, I will say this, I'm not saying HBCUs are perfect. There are things that we need to work on. I'm very clear on that. I've said it for a long time, but we trying to get better. But here's the thing, like I said, if you can at all possible, don't give up on them. Because I had some issues with Grambling when I got in school. There was some frustrating stuff. But once I got past the frustrating stuff, y'all, I promise you, wouldn't trade it for the world. The people I met, the things I learned, and don't think that when they go to HBCU it won't be diverse. It will be diverse. We had white students. We had a lot of international students, a lot from the Caribbean, from Africa, from India, from Nepal, from Asia, all parts of Asia. We had, so don't think that it's not diverse either. Because I know some people say, oh, it could be a monoculture. No, it's very diverse. And you'll be surprised when you have conversations with people from other countries, the things that you learn. And the things that you learn culturally, the things that they learn culturally, because they were honestly shocked. To believe it or not, a lot of the Indian, Asian, anybody that wasn't black, they told us straight up, my parents don't want me to come there because they said black people is dangerous. And then once they were there, they was like, we had to tell our parents they're wrong about y'all. Y'all some of the nicest people we've never met. We didn't know. It was like the white. But when they would go to the grocery stores and stuff, the white people treat them crazy. The white people, they not like y'all. Y'all wave and smile at us and speak to us. The white people won't even say hello. You see what I'm saying? But once again, and so that's another thing. When you go to HBCU, you have an opportunity to change somebody's outlook on how we are portrayed in the media, in the world, and everywhere else. So if you call yourself raising game changer type kids, or if you want your child to be confident in who they are, what they are, where they're going, be embraced, because we are family. That's one thing I can't say about HBCUs. The independent schools, we family. And amongst overall, especially when you get grown, you see other people, oh, you went to Jackson, or you went to this school, you went to that school, oh, that's dope. I went here, you know what I'm saying? We look out for each other. And it's genuine love and respect. Now, when we get on the gridiron or we playing sports, okay, it's competitive then. But outside of that, it's genuine love and respect. So, but if anybody has any questions and, just whatever, if you reach out to a school or you're wondering how to reach out to a school, let me know. Because I do know a lot of different people that went to different HBCUs. If you want to know anything about Grambling State University, please feel free to ask me. And if I don't know it, I will find it out. I'm a very active alumni in trying to get people to go to Grambling State University. Really, I want these kids to go to HBCU, period. And I'm going to be honest and say not just black children. I want the other children to go to HBCUs too, so they can. I think that's the only way to understand the culture is to be immersed in that culture. And in America, you're immersed so much in white culture predominantly. Sometimes it's hard to even know your own culture. So, like I said, if you got any questions, comments, or whatever, or if you went to HBCU, if you know somebody went to HBCU, or if you're wondering, because in the fall, a lot of times these HBCUs, y'all, they have high school day. And the kids are more than welcome to come out. They get to experience the campus. They get to get tours. They get to get their questions answered. And they also get to go to the football game, experience for what it is. A lot of times you just have to step foot on campus. And I'm telling y'all, it's different. It hit different. You know what I'm saying? It hit different. When I came to Grambling, I fell in love. I was like, woo, this is nice. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing like, especially like homecomings and stuff like that. It's nothing like seeing, I don't know, 20, 30,000 black people, everybody getting along, no fighting, no nothing. You know what I'm saying? It just hit different. And especially when the media and everything tells you that we're not capable of that. That if two of us get together, we're going to kill each other. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, anything I want to add to the conversation, if it's anything you think I missed or should touch on, whatever, let me know. Till next time, see you guys later.